Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. For me, it has been a little bit since I have done any kind of vlog. I have taken a little bit of time off. I was finishing up the projects that I needed doing for the first quarter, and then I am currently in the middle of what I call my reset weeks, which is 2 weeks in between each quarter where I am still working, I'm still doing things, but it's a lot of admin, a lot of planning, and a lot of thinking time. And decision-making time. It's a lot of decision-making time. So that's what I have been doing. I've also been catching up on reading, which has been lovely. Anyway, what we are going to be doing today is a little bit of planning. Yay! So at the beginning of this last quarter, before we got into things, I did a plan with me, kind of how I project plan vlog, and I'm gonna do it again. This time we'll have a little bit less of explanation of why I'm doing certain things, but I will still explain. I'm really sorry for anybody who might find it repetitive, but there are some differences, and because I'm always learning, I'm always adjusting, and also every quarter is different because there's different stuff going on and different projects and different things to consider, and this quarter is no exception. So let me explain a little bit about what I have done so far. So last time I explained how I double up my project planning between digital spaces and analog spaces. My digital spaces are for long-term tracking of the project and how it's going. So a lot of my projects are multi-year projects. Most things that I do takes a very long time to do them. So I need to be able to keep track of what I'm supposed to be doing at any given point in time. However, getting into the minuscule, especially right off the bat, is not a very smart move. The first thing that you do when looking at a big project is figuring out the big chunk. So when do I need to be writing it? When do I need to be researching it? You know, these kinds of things. I know generally I'm supposed to be researching something, I'm supposed to be writing something, I'm supposed to be working on a rough draft, and that's kind of all I have. What I have been doing is taking that information and figuring out a couple of things. The first is, what projects am I actually going to be working on this term? I like to call my quarters terms, so I'll probably be fluctuating between those two. I tend to schedule my quarters/terms as if I was doing an undergraduate degree. I do this for a couple of reasons. The first is that I have been in university structured worlds for the vast majority of my adulthood. I have been at universities either as a student, as a teacher, as both at the same time, from about the ages of 18 to 26. Yeah, I think 26 or 27, somewhere in there. So that's like the better part of a decade that I have spent in these kinds of structures. And when I left formalized academia, I really struggled to find a structure that really worked for me. I'm somebody that needs structure in my day-to-day. However, I get bored of structure very quickly, and then it all falls apart, and all the things that was great that it was doing for me, it's now not doing because I get sick of it. So having a schedule that changes every quarter is perfect. It means that I don't get bored. I can change things up. I can alter my stuff. I also have a schedule that is different every single day in the week, because that's kind of what it's like when you're at university, where it's like, well, this class is Tuesdays and Thursdays, but this one is Tuesday nights, and this one is Mondays, and that one is, you have all of these different things that you have to be doing throughout the week. And it makes it not feel old and stale and like you're doing the same thing over and over and over again every single day of the week. So I like that. It's what works for me, so that is what I am doing. So I'm still doing a kind of time blocking schedule. It's going to look a bit like a schedule, like a class schedule, and that is what I am doing. When I was at uni doing my undergraduate degree anyway, I was advised to limit how many classes I took to about 6. So that is also an idea that I take forward with me in this. I cannot take on more than 6 projects in a term. Last term, I accidentally took on 7 because I kind of didn't count a couple of things as projects, and then I added one very last minute. There was a course that I really wanted to take that was online, and I just figured, whatever, I'll just take it. And I don't know if that was the best I don't know if that was the best strategy, because then that meant that I had 7 things that I was having to balance. Well, really 8. So that was too many. So this term I'm sticking to 6. So I have a schedule that kind of fits like that. I have a limitation on my projects, but I have a lot more projects that I am either thinking about or considering or balancing than 6. Some of these are on hiatus. Some of these are currently being queried. Some of these are just stuff that I'm thinking about. Every quarter, like when I am thinking about what I'm going to be doing in that planning during this reset time, one of the decisions I have to make are what projects I'm taking on. What am I doing? What deadlines do I have? If I don't have any deadlines on anything, that means that I don't have any contracts, and that's probably a problem. So what am I doing in order to amend that? What projects am I either going to take on during this time in order to amend that, or continue during this time to amend that? These are all the kinds of decisions that I have to make and balance. Those are all things that I have already done. I've already figured out what my schedule is going to look like. I have already figured out what projects I am doing. I have already figured out what the progression of those courses is going to look like for this term. The only things that I haven't done is really solidified that. So for me, when I am figuring out these things and I'm making these decisions, I play with them in the digital space. So I'm putting things on, I'm taking things off, I'm messing about on Google Calendar to see what a schedule will look like and how does that work with these other things that I have going on, doing the math to figure out what I can accomplish in the time period that I have, all of those things in order to make sure, is this worthwhile doing in this term at this time? So that's what I like to use digital sources for. For me, that's one of the benefits of digital stuff, is that there's a lot of flexibility in it. However, that's also can be a detriment, because if something is really flexible, it makes it feel like, well, I can just bend it a little bit today. And then you do that all the time, and then you're not doing the things because you keep bending it because it's all digital. That's at least what I found personally. The few times when I first was starting to do time blocking, I just didn't stick to it because I can just move the thing over on Google Calendar and now I'm done. And so I'm constantly moving the things around instead of just doing what I'm supposed to be doing at the time I'm supposed to be doing it. And for some reason, whenever I put it in my analog forms of planning, it makes it feel more set. It makes it feel more rigid, and it makes it feel more permanent because I have essentially set it down in ink to say, this is what I am doing. So I haven't done that yet. So we're going to be doing that today. We're going to be kind of transferring some of the thought processes and decisions that I have made and putting them in the analog space. So let's go and do it. All right, so we are welcoming in my spring term. I have learned I am very bad at drawing jasmine flowers. Do not judge me. We're going to skip over at first this first page. So on this page, I'm going to be sketching out what my actual schedule is going to look like on a day-to-day basis on one side, and on the other side I actually have all of the different calendars laid out for what this quarter is, and I'm going to be marking out the days that I know are going to impact my ability to do work. So for example, I am going to be moving pretty soon. It's probably going to be sometime in mid-April, so I'm probably gonna have to book off quite a bit of time to move house during that period. I don't know the exact days right now, so I'm not going to book that off like immediately, but I might write to the side, hey, I'm going to be moving, just so I can keep it in mind, and then I can write in the days once I know what those days are going to be that I'm going to need to block off, because I'm going to need to pack up the house, I'm going to need to actually move, and then I'm going to need to unpack on the other side in order to, like, you know, get my office together to then be able to do my work. When it comes to the schedule, this quarter I'm trying something different. I actually have a different sheet that I can kind of pull down and move for Thursday and Friday's days, and that's because I'm going with a rotating schedule. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday's schedules will be the same every week. However, Thursday and Friday will change fortnightly. So it means that there's a couple of projects that I'm doing that don't need as much time as the entire, every single Friday of the quarter in order to be able to accomplish what I want doing. However, it does need some time, and therefore setting aside maybe half the time might be more useful. So that's what I'm doing for that. Now that I have an idea of what amount of time I actually have to dedicate to everything, we're gonna go back to that first page. This is my goals page. I actually got this system from Beth and Beyond here on YouTube. You should really go check out her channel. It's amazing. She has an elemental life operating system, and I have changed it a little bit in order to fit my own life and way of thinking, but I really liked the idea of essentially in some ways limiting yourself. So I'm only looking at 5 life areas at a time rather than 10 or 15 or 20 that a lot of other things give you. That's really overwhelming, and I'll end up not doing anything. So I focus in on the 5 that are the most important to me, and each quarter I set a goal that is based off of my values associated with these areas of my life. So I'm not going to be filling out all of them on camera today because some of them, like for example my spirituality one, is a little bit more personal to me, but I'm going to fill out some of the other ones. And I think one of the things that I wanted to mention about this system for people who might be interested is that you can kind of pick whatever 5 areas of your life really work for you and what's important to you. Spirituality might not be important for you. It's not something that's important for everybody, and there's nothing wrong with that. So if you then follow, somebody else's 15 life areas and one of them is spirituality or religion, and that's just not something that really impacts your life, then it's going to feel a bit like a wash. So that's one of the things that I like about this is it's 5 things, but they're 5 things that are massively important to me personally in the way that I live my life. There are things on here that maybe other people don't care about, and there are things that I don't care about that I don't have on here that might be massively important to someone else. So once I've sketched out my goals, I go over to the other side and I put in my action steps. So I'm not going to do this for all of them because one of the ones with home is moving, and that's going to be kind of a big thing. But basically these action steps are what I'm actually wanting to accomplish throughout this quarter, the actual things to do that means that I'm achieving my goal that I have set for myself. So that means that we have now done goals, we have done my schedule, and now that means that we can flip to our actual course pages. So in this one, we're going to be focusing on the actual work that I am doing for each of my projects. So I have what's called a final for each one of them. Again, this is because I'm structuring it like a class, but basically this is the one thing that I want to have done by the end of this quarter. If I do some of the other things, that's great. If I don't do them, that it might be bad as long as I can manage to do the final. For my tabletop role-playing game book, Stories Around the Table, for this one, I'm going to be doing a lot of research during this time, and some of it is going to be reading research, some of it is going to be fieldwork based, and some of it is going to be analyzing stories of actual play podcasts. For me, for this quarter, I think the most important thing that I can achieve is actually analyzing the actual play podcast. It would be great if I can set up some fieldwork stuff, but with everything else going on, I just don't know if this is going to be realistic to me. I also don't know how much I'm going to be able to achieve when it comes to the book reading and research, because it's going to depend on what already exists, what I have access to for free or for very little money. So I'm leaving myself that wiggle room, but the main thing that I know that I can achieve, that I think is the most important thing to achieve, is that analysis. And so that's why that's my final, even though I'm going to have other assignments that may or may not be related. So with that all done, I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really positive. Things are set in stone. Let's look at April. Now, my first page is an overview where I typically do a Gantt chart. This Gantt chart is supposed to be the specific steps of what I'm supposed to be doing on which days or which sections of the month for each project. I've been doing this. I did this for January, February, and March, and I found that I never really used it. I'm thinking that maybe in May, this will be replaced with a different system. So maybe next time you see a plan with me, you'll see a different thing. However, this small calendar off to the side, it is the smallest piece on this spread, but it is the thing I use the most, and this is my content calendar for the month. This is not only my big releases like my vlogs and my video essays, it also has newsletters that I send out. You should go check out my newsletter. You can sign up for it on my website, haha. But also it's all my social media posts and things like that. So I write all of it down so that way I know what's being done, what I'm posting. Sometimes I can get ahead on social media posting, sometimes I can't. It just kind of depends on what's going on with my life. But yeah, I find this so massively helpful, and it's the main thing that I use this spread for, which is why I'm kind of upset that the thing that takes up the most space is this Gantt chart that I don't use. And then last but not least, we're filling out my calendar. Again, I'm going to be moving at some point in this month. I don't know the exact days. I'll be sketching that out later. But in the meantime, I can put down some of the important things, like when I am going to be recording episodes with my friend for our podcast, when I am going to be having therapy sessions, when I am having meetings, things like that, because this is important to keep in mind for future planning. And that's it all planned. I hope that you had a nice chill time doing some planning. Let me know if you are also planning along with me. If you use bullet journals. If you don't, that's also fine. I'm not one of those people that thinks it's the best thing in the world. It's the best thing in the world for me, and that's what's important. But thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I will see you next time. Bye!